Now, I know this is a rather weird way to start out a video, but I want you to take a quick look at the runtime, and as you can probably tell, this is a rather short video compared to everything else. Or at least I think it is because, well, I'm still in the process of recording. And this is because I kinda had to cobble this video up as quickly as I can, and that's for two different reasons. Firstly, the little details in Mount Cloudbreak video did pretty well, so I'm going to keep going forwards with others like it. And two, the video that I was actually going to put out spiraled into a goddamn nightmare scenario. What is this scenario, you ask, dear viewer? Well, I'm trying to summarize a good chunk of a goddamn 160-page book, but I'm getting to the point where I want to copy and paste the summary in the wiki into the video and just call it a day. So I had to push that video back and do something else, which sent me on a journey of finding what to do for Wednesday, and Friday is still kind of up in the air. So I decided to do something interesting. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of the fact that there's been a couple of videos over the months that have been scrapped, and one of them was supposed to be another joke video akin to the Hot Ladies video, which was meant to focus on the noticeably muscular women within the Skylanders. And after doing a bit of research, I realized that there was only one Skylander who fit this description left. This kind of forced me to turn on my heels to try and find something else that somewhat fits the description, and thankfully I was able to find someone, which means we're only going to be discussing two Skylanders today. This not only allows me to work on the next little details video, but it also allows me to go a lot more in depth with my thoughts when it comes to the Skylanders I picked, since I'm only doing two today. And maybe three if I have the time. So without any more stalling, let's get started!
It's crunch time.
Now, when it comes to the Skylanders I'm talking about today, Barbella was originally the reason why I thought of the Muscular Ladies video in the first place, and that is because of her appearance, because goddamn, this design is peak tomboy, and the more that I looked at it, the more I realized how detailed she actually was. Not only does her shoes and gauntlets look like they were made from bricks, but she actually has a really angular design due to the fact that she's made out of crystals besides her hair, which looks really good tonally for her character and design-wise. Now, I originally thought that this was just going to be a rather basic backstory where I kinda had to put in a lot more to try and extend it out, but as I was digging through her backstory, I would find something that absolutely flabbergasted me when I first saw it. According to what I found in the wiki, Barbella has a history that goes all the way back to Skylanders Giants. You did not mishear me. Barbella might possibly be the longest Skylander that was in development due to this technicality. And it's not like we just have to go off the wiki's word and just hope that it's right. No, the segment of the wiki that describes this actually has a source that takes us to a video from the man himself, Wei Wang. Or it should've. Unfortunately, the video is gone, or at least set to private so we can't access it anymore. But enough stalling, let's actually dig into this. Now, according to the development section of the wiki, while Skylanders Giants was being developed, Wei thought up the idea of a female water giant before it eventually morphed into a living statue for the Earth element. And even though it wouldn't be used initially, it would be used to make the Golden Queen, and apparently has ties to the Archean Weapon Master as well. A lot of the concepts from her concept art would stick, like the barbell's armor and the textured skin, and a good chunk of her details went through many attempts and iterations until they got a look that fit her concept perfectly in their eyes. I just think it's absolutely insane that Barbella's concepts have not only existed since Giants, which even though it's just a sketch looks really similar to the one that we got now, but she's also technically the out-of-lore reason why Golden Queen even exists, or at least in the way that we got her. This is all utterly insane for a character that I barely thought that much about. But with all of that out the way, I think it's about time that we talk about her backstory and see what we can talk about. Now, before she was a sensei, she actually had a history of teaching since she was one of the greatest fitness trainers in all of Skylands, living with the firm belief that if you eat a healthy diet and exercise, you would find true happiness. Wanting to spread her message, Barbella would eventually open up her own fitness center that she named Flex-A-Lot, where she hoped to instill in all of its visitors the idea and lifestyle of eating healthy and working out, and for a time, all went well. Well, until a certain blue blob showed up. On one fateful day, the Gulper would arrive at the establishment, and even though we don't know how or for what reason, he would turn the gym to rubble, Barbella using all of her strength that she could muster to hold the building up while everyone else evacuated and reached safety. After that event, she realized something. even though she knew the dangers of not being healthy, there were things out there that were way more of a threat, like villains akin to the Gulper. So she would train the ways of the Sentinel, and soon she would quickly become one of the best in the world. And even though we don't really have a clue why, she would become a Skylander. But with that said and done, let's talk about this. Now, one of the most interesting things about this backstory is that I don't think we've seen fitness centers in Skylands before. I mean, the concept of working out isn't foreign in Skylands since we've seen it a bunch of times, but I don't think a gym or fitness center has been brought up in the mainline franchise, only the Academy continuity. And the gym I'm specifically referring to is someplace called the Soulless Cycle in the Academy, but from what I can tell, it's pretty one note, even though it shows up in Season 1 and 2. This is most likely wrong, but I think that it would be interesting if she technically invented a brand new concept in Skylands just to spread her message. But speaking of the gym, why did the Gulper even destroy it in the first place? If I had to guess what could have possibly happened, he might have gone there thinking there was something to eat, got something that he didn't like because it's a gym, and then raged out because of how much unhealthy food he gobbles down. Or he just hated the concept of it. But it could be something else that I'm just not seeing. Other than that, there's only one more thing that I have to ask, and that's when did this take place? Because we have a rather large span of time because I honestly don't know when the Trap Team was formed, but it is rather interesting that out of the Skylanders groups besides the cores, the Senseis are some of the most wide-spanning Skylanders that we have seen in the franchise, since you could argue that many of them were there before the cores from SSA. But with all of that said and done, let's get into the next Skylander of today.
The sword is long!
Now, when it comes to the second and final Skylander of today, Chain Reaction is probably one of the only Skylanders that I had no damn idea had even existed. And by that I mean I have never seen this guy before in my life. The only reason that he's in this video is because I was browsing through the wiki and just stumbled upon him. But that doesn't mean that he's bad or his design. In actuality, I like how a lot of the aspects of his armor is gears or something similar. And his beard being made out of chainsaw chains is a really neat touch, along with his glasses. But with that out the way, let's take a quick look at his backstory and see what we can find. Before he was a Skylander, Chain Reaction was a man who prided himself on being the best, no matter what he was doing. But despite his skills, due to the fact that he carried around 2 huge chain swords wherever he went, he was rather lonely, because people are obviously going to be scared of that. Even though this persisted for some time, his luck would turn around one day when he witnessed a group of young dwarves getting picked on by an evil gang of ninja rats. I'm sorry, what? Things get a little muddled from here since it feels like there's just a whole chunk of the story missing, but the dwarves would eventually see him as their hero and follow him everywhere he went. And even though Chain Reaction loved and desperately needed the company, he knew that he couldn't protect his small little friends forever. Because of this, he decided to teach the dwarves his ways, giving them everything he knew so they could protect themselves. Some time would pass, and even though we don't know what Chain Reaction was up to, we certainly knew what the dwarves were, as Eon soon heard of a group of gnomes who successfully protected their village from a large army of ninja rats, which was all thanks to Chain Reaction's teachings. At this point, Eon just knew that he had to find whoever taught the gnomes, and even though the story ends here, we know that he succeeded in making Chain Reaction a sensei. But before we go on, is it just me or is Chain Reaction's story kind of just missing pieces of itself? It's never said if he fought off the rats for them or if he was even involved. They just see him as a hero now. And it's not even said if he was still with his buddies at the end of the backstory. But to be completely honest with you guys, this backstory is just fine. It's not too bad, but it isn't really that good in my eyes. But I do see it as interesting that his teachings were able to spread throughout the village. But with all of that said and done, I'd like to thank you all for watching this pretty patchy video. Like I said earlier, the videos that I was planning to make this week kind of just devolved into madness, and I'm kind of hauling ass just to get something out. But with all of that said and done, I'd like to thank you again for watching. Like always, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, share this around so I can grow the channel, check out the Return to Skyland series down in the description below, along with the rest of the lore and the music of this video, and I will see you all in the next one.